This was a movie that John had kind of came up with sometime during the pandemic, and he started calling and saying, "Here's a story, and it kind of goes like this, and I'm kind of figuring out where it goes." And he would kind of, over the course of many months, start parsing out the entire story and working it out in in a storytelling way. And then he wrote the script. Joe pursued this role, and in such a lovely way. He was passionate about it. He had read the script. He called John, said, I'm the person to play it, and here's why." And he spoke with him about it, and he turned out to be absolutely the perfect mix of kind of warmth and experience, and it kind of felt he exactly knew who this character was even before we really understood it. He plays a character who is a little worn down by the business and by the industry, and but at the same time he has this incredible warmth and an incredible simpatico way about him that is that Eve falls for, and that I think we all do. It's always a thrill to premiere a film here. This is the warmest audience. It's a movie-loving audience, and this is a crowd-pleasing movie. It's a match made in heaven. I think when we started talking with Apple, they said, "Oh, this movie is our movie," and we said, "Oh, great! Tell us about it." And they're like, "No, no, no. This movie was made for Apple. This is about technology. It's about the warm side of technology. It's about having to connect people through technology. It's about music. It's about how you can use computers to create music." And we were kind of saying like, yeah, sure, we intended that from the very beginning. They explained the movie to us in a way that we didn't really understand when we were making it.
I think that this movie really shows that you don't need to blow up buildings or have car chases to tell a story that's going to touch everyone and feel big and feel universal. And that the reality is that we're all hungry for stories that speak to like the little universal truths of our lives and the things that we all deal with, but that feel huge. The movie, I think, does a really good job of feeling universal while being super, super specific, which is what John does so well. I wish that we could take credit for this fabulous cast, but as with so many things in this film, it was John Carney. I mean, Jack Rayner, we had all worked with before on Sing Street, who John loves and we love, and was, someone that he had in mind for the part of the ex-husband from the beginning. But, Eve, it was Eve he had known since she was like 13, and they met, and I think within about 15 minutes of Zooming, they both were like, there's no one else to play this part except for Eve Hewson. There's no better partner that we could be working with than Apple TV+. We went into Sundance where the film initially premiered without a distribution partner, and we came out of it with them. And it was funny in selling it. We all looked at each other and we were like, we made this movie for Apple without even knowing it. And it's been just a match made in heaven since. And we couldn't think of a better partner to put this movie out into the world than Apple.
It was so exciting doing this in Dublin. It was a film that is so unique and specific to Dublin and to a very specific part and neighbourhood of Dublin. And we had great support from the people that were around us. And it just felt exhilarating the whole time that we knew that there was something really joyful and fun about making this movie. So I really can say it was one of the proudest moments of my career, just being able to pull all of those communities together. It was fantastic. Well, I have to say for me personally, when I started out in the film industry a long time ago, my dream was to make a musical. And, the idea of bringing as Rob says, in a really authentic way, in a way that feels that it's not superimposed onto the film. For me, every time the music soars in the film or there's one of those songs, my heart just bursts with pride. I'm just like, I'm so proud to have been a part of making this and seeing it come to life. So really, I don't know if there's a specific one. I mean, the rooftop scene certainly is one that I absolutely love, but I just think every time the music complements the emotions of the films in that way, it just makes me very proud to be a part of it.
It's not a Dublin and it's not an Ireland that we see very often on screen. In Flora and Son, we're in the very heart of Dublin, in one of the oldest communities in Dublin, and they welcomed us with open arms. And I think, you know, the great thing that John does is he finds a way into those places, and he is really meticulous in painting an honest and true and respectful portrait. And these people let us into their lives and let us into their community, and it was just a beautiful thing. And it never rained once the whole time we shot the film, which, if you know anything about Ireland, is a very unique thing. I think, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and it's to a certain extent in the eye of John Carney, who wrote and directed this movie. I think you're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head. What is great about Flora and Son is that it is a very real and true portrait of a working class neighborhood in Dublin, but it also shows us the beauty of those places. And, you know, you can look at that and you can take the view that this is a neighborhood where there maybe are some problems and maybe there is some deprivation, and, you know, but there's also beauty, there's community, there's love, you know, there's all of those things, and John captures that so beautifully, I think, you know. Something about coming in at 7 o'clock in the morning and John Carney going, listen, come here, I've just, myself and Gary have just written a new song here, I'm just going to play it for you. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning, you're like, you have a million things in your head, and suddenly this guy is playing this song, and you're just going, that is joy. It is literally a joyous thing as a producer to go, oh, I'm like, this is just, you wrote this last night and we're going to do it today? Yeah. I mean, it's been an absolute joy.
I'm kind of a little bit flabbergasted by the magic of the whole event. I don't know what I was expecting, you know, but this is a beautiful theatre to launch our little film, you know. We actually brought in Eve Hewson, who plays Flora, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt in on their songs. We brought them in on the lyrics because they understood their characters, and they'd started shooting and they were already in that frame of mind. We took them into the studio, and I'd never done that before, and it was a John Carney idea, which he has many, many mad ideas that always turn out to be brilliant. And we sat with them and said, would your characters say this? Would they think this? Would they feel this? And tweak the lyrics around the characters. I knew we needed a song for that big moment in a pub, and I wanted the audience to feel something more than just, oh, it's just a big knees up in a Irish pub. But I wanted that as well, you know. My favorite song in Flora is all of them. I mean, honestly, they all have such different personalities. It would be like I honestly couldn't choose, because they do something different. Every one of them has a different function. I love working with John Carney. I've worked with John since probably 8 or 9 years ago. We started working together on Sing Street, and basically from there on we've continued to work together and develop our relationship, and just got it's almost telepathic way of working together. The fact that Eve's dad is Bono, who's actually a hero of mine, I couldn't allow that to intimidate me, but it did. And John told me last week that he'd had a conversation on the phone with Bono, and Bono loved the music, and that was like a huge relief. But it took, you know, I didn't get that for a year, but all the way through working on it, a lot to live up to.
It's a film about mother and son, and it's about it's a dysfunctional family, and it is about the repair that this couple make to their lives through music. And it's lots of songs, and it's funny, and it's got a great cast. I got blessed with this one, I have to say. Everything aligned on this movie. It was, Eve is a revelation. Joe brought so much to this role that could have been a small role. You know, he plays a guy in LA who's a singer-songwriter. This kid, Oren Kinlan, I don't know if you've met him yet, is a beautiful young actor, real still, you know, a killer. And of course, Jack Rayner, my old friend, my wife's in the movie, my kids play little roles in the movie. everybody wanted to be there. It didn't feel like we were making a movie. It felt like we were in a band together. It was an unusual musical for me because it wasn't just about writing, the best song, which is normally what you're trying to do in a musical, like give me the best song that you got. This was different. It was a bit more bespoke to the characters. When as you know in the movie, she's learning the guitar, so she's not going to be, James Taylor up and down the fretboard. He's a failed singer-songwriter, so he's not going to be knocking out the Ed Sheeran hits. And the kid is, working on GarageBand on his laptop and listening to drill music and hip hop and soaking it all up. So he's not going to be, a whiz kid yet. What does that sound like? So it was really fun for us to try and figure out the parameters of this thing, how it was going to sound, and that it sounded plausible and believable for an audience. I don't know if I could do just a drama now. I've gotten so used to pausing the drama and taking a break and having my characters pick up guitars or pianos or, bass guitars and sing, and just pausing things and percolating and letting it sit for a while. So it's very different. I mean, and it's in many ways, it's a great thing to be able to fall back on occasionally when you need a sort of a rest in the movie. And I like to just put that right up front rather than have it as score in the background. Why not just put it in the drama of the characters? So that's kind of what I've been doing for the last few years, and it's kind of working for me now in a nice way.
Well, obviously it's my first major role in the film, so my dad's an actor, and I've always been doing self-tapes with him. I'd used to read the lines for him, and I kind of got into it that way. I'd get really into the characters, so that's how I kind of got into acting. And then obviously I came home from school one day and I got an audition to be in John Carney's hit new film, so I was always eager to take it, and I'm here now at TIFF, which is just amazing to say the least. Max is a very rebellious kind of character. I think he kind of just has an off relationship with his parents in general. He hates the world. He's trying to find his place in it, and I think really adds to his character. He's kind of a social chameleon almost. Eve's an incredible actor. Eve's just a phenomenal person to be around, let alone even work with. I mean, she's incredible. Every time she steps onto set, everyone kind of is in awe watching her. I was at some points. It took me out of the scene a little bit. I was kind of baffled just watching how good she was. But Eve's an incredible friend to me. She's really kind and patient and just the best kind of co-partner you could ask for. I've never sang or had any musical experience, so the entire singing and rapping was an entirely new kind of process to me, which was still amazing. I still enjoyed every minute of it, but it was definitely new. A really important advice that stuck with me was from Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He told me that to enjoy the business as enjoy the art of acting, because it's really important and just an amazing thing to have in the world, that we can watch movies and enjoy them in cinemas and whatnot. So it's just incredible.